Hello, Carnivore Hunters. This is Doug.
Hey, and this is Rick. Have you been wondering about some of the other potential benefits of the carnivore diet besides weight loss and increases of energy level? Uh, some of our results might surprise you because they certainly have surprised us.
Yeah, everybody does talk about weight loss and energy levels on the carnivore diet, but today we wanted to talk about some of the more surprising results that we've gotten by switching to the carnivore lifestyle. Because a lot of these benefits we never really expected, and there's just things that I mean, all good news, but just things that we didn't expect to have happen. So I think we can just get this started here. Our first one, this was actually a big one for me, and it was one of the first things I noticed. My wife and I both stopped snoring altogether and really started sleeping much better throughout the night. This happened for me within about the first 2 weeks of starting the carnivore diet. Just snoring completely went away for both of us.
Yeah, I work a night shift, so I do not get to sleep with my wife as much, but so I don't know exactly when I stopped snoring. I just know uh, at a month and a half ago, she told me that I don't snore anymore. So uh, hopefully that's still the case. I just
Right.
I just don't have a reference. But I last I knew, I don't snore anymore. So
Yeah. Next thing is our arthritis is gone. I think for both of us. I didn't have a ton of it, but I did have was starting to get some pains in my collarbone where my brother broke it when we were wrestling around as kids. But that was something that had crept up and started bothering me in the last 4 or 5 years. But no pain. I haven't even noticed it in the last 6 months.
yeah, I had it pretty bad. I from my shoulders on down to my toes, every joint I had was just inflamed, and the inflammation let me know that I was swollen, and it hurt to do just about anything. And uh, it man, it was a miserable existence. And since I've started carnivore, I'm not sure exactly when all that pain went away for me, but it's completely gone now. I mean, I, from my knuckles to my shoulders, I don't have any arthritic pain anymore.
Yeah, it's almost like, being in your 20s again.
Yeah,
Just kind of turning back time. I mean, if you're looking for that fountain of youth like this, I think this is about as close as you're going to get. Another
it's a good
thing,
analogy.
another thing that's kind of cropped up for me, or actually gone away for me, is I actually had eczema, actually pretty bad on my left ankle. And it actually something that came up years ago. I had gotten really sick, and after I had gotten better, or while was sick, this rash appeared on my leg, and it just never went away for a good 10 years. And over the course of this last 6 months, it's just got faded and gone slowly. It doesn't itch anymore. So that's one of my favorites. Because if you ever had to suffer through eczema and how bad that can itch sometimes, like having that go away, that's worth the diet change in itself.
Yeah, I agree. I had eczema as well. Not as bad as Doug had it, but nonetheless, I had eczema as well. And I totally believe it's from diet because it'll still come back on me sometimes. I think it's the dairy. I'm not sure yet. It seems like when I eat cheese or something along. I've never been a milk drinker. I don't like milk all that much, but when I eat cheese, it seems to come back, especially on my inner thighs and my butt cheeks. I'll get some eczema inflammation, but when I get rid of the dairy or maybe some certain other foods, like I said, I haven't pinpointed it, but That's the beauty of carnivore is you can slowly reintroduce some stuff, and your body's going to tell you,
Yeah.
hey, I don't want this stuff. So um, right now I'm eczema free. I haven't been eating dairy or anything, so I'm good to go. Uh, and another thing for me is the brain fog is just completely lifted. I I had brain fog so bad that it affected my work, it affected my home life, and now I can just think clearly. I can have intelligent conversations with people at work, and I don't lose my train of thought all that much. And it's I just can think clearly now.
Yeah, I definitely have that as well. And from the moment you wake up in the morning, it's I used to be one of those people where it would take me 30 minutes, 45 minutes to clear my head from that first moment I woke up. And now my eyes pop open and I'm there, I'm sharp. Um, and if something wakes me up in the middle of the night, I'm awake and I'm sharp, but I can also fall right back asleep pretty easy. So that's whole thing has been definitely a, a huge benefit for me as well. Another thing that I think my brother and I both have is a condition called familial tremors, something that we've touched on a little bit before, but for those of you who haven't seen our other videos on it, we something we get from our mother. It's just a like we used to both shake really really bad, and I mean, mine cropped up as young as like junior high, and
Yeah,
to a point where like your friends notice, that you're shaking, and they're asking if you're afraid of something or whatever. But no, it was just a condition that we were told is incurable, and it's just something you have to live with. But I can tell you, I can feed my grandson more cleanly today than I could feeding my own children when they were infants in my 20s, because I just don't shake anymore.
yeah. It's amazing what they tell you is uncurable, and then
Yeah.
you do something like the carnivore diet, and man, you're just it 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 boggles the mind. I
Yeah.
anyway. I,
Yeah, another thing for me, for those of you that if you have young ones in the room, cover their ears. But the sex drive is definitely kind of coming back. I never really had a problem in that department, but as you get older, things start to slow down, and you're not as intimate as often as you used to be, maybe. This one is another almost kind of fountain of youth, turning back time a little bit. And that's definitely been a blessing I did not expect to come out of this.
yeah, no doubt. Uh, let's keep this G rated though.
Right.
But again, anyhow, something else for me too is since I've been on carnivore, I have consistently been a 3 or a 4 on the Bristol scale. Um, if you don't know what the Bristol scale is, check out this
We'll
this
put a
attached.
graphic up.
Yeah, check out this graphic here. I really think that the Bristol scale is some sort of measurement for good gut health, and so what what this is telling me is that our gut health has improved overall being on the carnivore diet.
Yeah, I definitely have that as well. I mean, it's, you no more greasy poo. Cleanup's a lot easier than it used to be. And I think we can just leave that one at that as well.
Yeah, yeah. No need to make this too gross.
Right.
Hey, another thing too is my mood has improved immensely, and I think a lot of that has to do with self confidence and the weight loss and uh, no more frog, no more
Right.
brain fog. Uh, I I just my mood overall has improved immensely, and I think when you're when you're inflamed and you're sore and you're achy, you're just naturally going to be a little more grumpy. And when you're not inflamed and sore, there's no reason to be in a bad mood, right? So I, my mood is just improved overall.
Yeah, mine as well. And I think I think there's another layer to that. I think everything you said makes a lot of sense as far as not being in pain and things like that. But I also do think that now that we're getting a proper amount of fat, not trying to eat the low fat diet, you know, they say that fat and cholesterol is what helps regulate your hormones. I think there might just be some better hormone regulation going on there. I've heard other people talk about the carnivore zen, and it's a real thing. If you haven't tried this yet, it's the carnivore zen does exist. uh,
Right. Yeah. Something else that has just kind of blown me away is, in the beginning we talked about uh, losing weight. So we weren't really going to talk about this, but I feel like we ought to at least touch on it really quick. Is I feel like for me, the weight has fallen off faster, way faster than I ever imagined. Um, and I will say that the more I lose the weight, the closer I get to my goal weight. I've hit some plateaus, but I started this on June 15th. We're into October 23rd now, so a little over what 4 months. Um,
mm,
so I'm losing just slightly over 10 pounds a month. I started out at uh, 240, and I'm this morning I weighed in at 194. So about 46 pounds now. So I'm losing just over 10 pounds a month. And this is actually it, I went from being an extra large to into a 3X back down to an extra large. And so and you might see it in some of the other videos we have out there. I'm wearing t-shirts where they look like dresses on me now. Where
yeah.
the shirt I'm wearing today, this is the first time I've gotten into this shirt in at, at least a couple of years, 2, 3, maybe even 4 years. I've had this T-shirt a long time, and and Doug even made reference to it in an older video where we're just starting to outgrow our fat clothes. We're getting back into our older clothes, um, but a lot of those older clothes too we've given away to Goodwill over the years, and so now we gotta spend the money to redo. Actually, Christmas is around the corner for you carnivore hunters out there that are feeling generous. I'm in an XL now, so
Me too. I'm XL as well. Yeah, and that is, I think that is the thing that's, I mean, losing weight wasn't, it wasn't surprising on this. That was part of the reason of starting it, but it's just how fast it
yeah,
does happen.
yeah,
I've not lost weight as fast as Rick has, but I think a big part of that is I have never cut out dairy. I do drink milk. I have milk every morning with my eggs. I have switched over to the Fairlife. Because it's like half the sugar but twice the protein, and that actually has made it so I don't plateau as much, and things come off a little bit more consistently. But I'm sure if I cut it out altogether, I'd lose it just as fast as he is. But you know what? I'm happy with my progress. So and it's just not something I want to cut out at this point.
yeah,
Um, but so and then another thing for me that is actually my a surprise was my dental health improved. I used to get like the bleeding gums when you'd brush and floss and things like that. And the dental hygienist was always telling me that my gums were a little bit inflamed. Um, that went down. I had my first dentist appointment after starting carnivore less than 2 months into being on the carnivore diet, and she's like, "Oh, your gums are doing great. They're so much better than before. Like this is, what are you doing differently?" Um, I didn't tell her I was doing carnivore because I wasn't sure how they would react. I just said I'd cut out the sugar, and they said, "Yeah, that that cuts out of a lot of inflammation." So,
For me, my my overall health has improved. Before I started carnivore, I had accidentally or non-intentionally had gone in for some lab work because before carnivore, my kidney and my liver was starting to show signs of failure, and so I kept having to go back to the doctor to get lab work done. Um, and in August, I had to go back in for a follow up, and like I said, I started June 15th, so about a month and a half, 2 months into carnivore, I went in for more lab work, and all of a sudden my cholesterol is back to normal, except my HDL was slightly low, which is your good HDL, so I wasn't too concerned about that. Um, we went on an ATV trip, uh, a month or so ago,
Hmm.
and during that time, I developed diverticulitis, and so I had to get lab work done for that, and found out my liver's back to normal, so that was good news. My blood sugar is back to normal. The only thing I'm unsure about right now is my kidney. I want to go follow up with my kidney and see where I'm at on my kidney. But so far, all these ailments I had since I started carnivore have improved. And I had started to develop neuropathy in my middle toe at one point. And neuropathy is basically nerve damage, uh, and it could be diabetic or non diabetic. Mine was supposedly from hammer toe. Um, but neuropathy is nerve damage that will cause a numbness or a burning sensation or tingling in your fingers or your toe or your leg or your foot or something. I just happen to have it in one toe on my left foot. Um, that the neuropathy I still feel from time to time, but it is way better than what it used to be. It used to be numb every day, and there's days I don't even notice it anymore. So it's I would say on carnivore, my overall health has really improved.
Yeah. And one thing I notice every time you talk about that is a lot of the things that have improved for you are the things that the naysayers on the carnivore diet say, like, oh, well, if you do the carnivore diet, this is going to get worse. And your blood work is proving the exact opposite.
Yep.
Um, and maybe you're an anomaly. We're not scientists, so we can't say for sure, but that this is why I would recommend, give things a shot, talk to your own doctor, or talk to, you know, get on board with Rivero with with Dr. Baker or something, and give this a shot because, you know, even just
Yeah.
doing 60 or 90 days on this, it
30
can't hurt.
days.
Yeah,
Give it 30 days. 30 days, you're going to notice the difference.
for
I,
sure.
and I mean, quite honestly, 2 weeks, you're going to notice a difference.
Hmm.
Uh, the hardest part of carnivore is getting past the sugar addiction and the processed food addiction. But when you get past that, and then you start to crave the red meat, uh, I mean,
Yeah. It's so easy. It's not a restriction diet that people say. If anything, you feel freed because I mean, meal prep's always easy.
yeah,
You know,
no doubt.
you are going to eat the same couple of things, but it's not boring. And even I thought it was going to be boring, but
Yeah, I
that's
did
not been
too.
yeah, I haven't had that problem at all. Another thing that's cleared up for me is plantar fasciitis. That's a condition with the tendon on the back of the heel. Gets tightened up when you sleep, particularly when everybody points their toes when they sleep, and that tendon that wraps around the back of your heel can tighten up and be extremely painful when you wake up and try to walk on it in the morning. That just kind of cleared up on its own. That's one of those things that was sticking with me for multiple years and has completely gone away since starting the carnivore diet.
I want to go back to our previous point really quick about the red meat and just craving it. There's a version of carnivore called the lion diet,
Mhm.
and that's where you eat like a lion. I think when you get into carnivore, you actually become a lion. You want the red meat, you want the organ meat, and nothing else appeals to you. It's so hard to explain, especially for the ones that are out there saying, "Oh, it sounds too restrictive." I couldn't do that.
Yeah, and I would say, adding on to that, I when I first started this again, I thought it was going to be super restrictive, and I bought, various types of meat. I bought a bunch of chicken, bunch of pork, and I got to be honest, I don't really like chicken anymore. And I had a lot of chicken recipes, but I think it's just too lean. It doesn't have a proper amount of fat for what our body craves. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'll still make hot wings every once in a while and some things like that, but it's not even a once a week thing. It's you know, maybe a couple times a month if I'm just feeling like spicing things up.
Yeah, I do like my baby back ribs,
Yeah.
and I still crave. I love seafood, so
Hmm.
um, and I can actually eat a lot more seafood than I used to be able to because it is so lean.
Yeah.
And when you eat these meats, you stay so satiated, where you can go to one meal a day or two meals a day. Um, uh, Another health benefit I forgot to mention is heartburn. My heartburn is, for the most part, it's completely gone. The only time I have a flare up with my heartburn is if I have a cheat, and we've had a few cheats throughout our time on carnivore,
Mm.
and we go to it into detail in other videos, and you want to watch those videos because uh, when we do cheat, we pay the price and we suffer, and it's pretty bad. The heartburn I haven't really suffered as much because if I cheat, it's just a mild heartburn and I can take a Tums and it's gone. But um, I've taken myself off the prescription heartburn medication because I don't need it anymore. If I have that small flare up, a Tums will take care of it. And
Yeah.
the ultimate goal is get off the Tums, right? So figure out what's hurting you and don't eat it again.
Yeah. And I would just get heartburn occasionally. I never got it nearly as much as Rick did. But I now that he mentions it, I haven't had heartburn at least in the last 7 months. So it's, and I didn't suffer with it nearly as often as he did. So that could just be a coincidence on my part. But yeah, that's definitely something I haven't had to deal with either. Another thing that I've noticed for myself, physically in my appearance, I used to have really, really bad dark circles, that horrible raccoon eyes. I've mentioned this in some of the other videos. Between my fat gut and my bald head and the dark circles, I definitely look like Uncle Fester from the Addams Family. So, um, but that's really no longer the case. So that's definitely been a good one for me as well.
The only thing I think I have left is I don't crash like I used to after I eat a meal, especially at lunch when I'm at work.
Mhm.
You go to Subway or you eat a high carb meal with French fries and potato chips, whatever. Um, I used to, especially when I was at work, I'd eat these big high carb meals, and I'd get back to work and sit down at my desk, and I just want to take a nap. And now with carnivore, I'm more productive than I've ever been. I can eat a, a piece of whatever kind of meat, and I don't crash when I'm done eating my meal. And I'm just way more productive in my work life, my personal life. It's been a great experience.
Yeah, yeah, and not having that, and I think everybody can is familiar with that, that after lunch crash when you're midway through your shift. This is just definitely, it's nice to be just as productive after lunch as you were before lunch.
Yeah.
So that's yeah, that's another huge one. I just have a couple more. For me, I was actually getting into a point where my I was starting to notice my eyesight starting to get worse and worse. And one thing in particular, if I was looking down at my cell phone or my tablet, like say I was on the couch and on the cell phone, and then look up at the TV, my eyesight would take a while to adjust to seeing things at that greater distance. And so for about the first 30 to 45 seconds, the TV would be very blurry. In fact, if I had like the on-screen guide up, I couldn't read it. I'd have to give my eyes a little bit of time to adjust before I could read that on-screen guide again. So that's no longer happening. My eyes adjust when I look up; they adjust immediately. So I don't have that issue anymore. And then for the last thing, one of the weirdest things that's happened for me is not everyone in my house is carnivore, and there's still a toaster in my kitchen. If I walk into my kitchen and somebody is toasting bread, for it actually it smells like mold to me now. Like the smell of toasting bread smells off-putting. And that's something I never would have expected. It's almost like my nose is telling me like that's not food. Stay away from that. And if you think about it, that's what animals in the wild do, right? They smell something and they lick it. If it doesn't smell good or it doesn't taste good, they spit it out. And I think my nose is trying to tell me stay away from that crap.
Yeah, no doubt.
So
That's funny. I don't have that problem. Of course, I lost my smell years ago. Before carnivore or not COVID. You know, people say with COVID you lose your sense of smell. I lost my sense of smell long before that. I will say, however, though, when I was making jerky this afternoon, I could actually smell it a little bit, and I'm not saying carnivore's bringing back my smell. I could smell the spices in the meat, and it wasn't an overwhelming aroma, but I was able to smell it a little bit. So who knows? We'll see what happens in the next few months. Maybe I'll get my sense of smell back.
yeah, yeah. And maybe you'll just start smelling things that you don't want to smell.
It's nice not smelling a fart. So
All right.
especially in a car. Anyhow, guys.
Which actually, that's another thing. I don't fart anymore now that you mention it.
Yeah, I I won't say I don't, but it's not what it used to be.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
mean it
like.
happens occasionally, but it's
Yeah,
very few and far between anymore.
yeah. And
Um,
when I do, I don't clear a room. So
right.
that's probably good news.
Yeah. So that's all we have for today, guys. Hope you found this useful. If you're trying to decide on whether or not to stow carnivore, we can't recommend it enough. But in the meantime, please like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. And unless Rick, if you don't have anything else, I think we can sign off.
No, I'm just going to add on to what you said. We're not doctors. We're not telling you what to do or how to do it. Go out and research this stuff on your own. And I, you, I'll just say I think you'll be surprised at what this will do for you. So
Yeah,
yeah,
for
like,
sure.
subscribe, hit the notification bell.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll see you next time.
See you next time. Have a good day.